We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live radio network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. My co-host is Dr. Hans Kugler, author of 7 books on anti-aging, the first one written in 1971. And with me also today in studio is Dr. Murry, M.D., and we're all in studio, and Iris Saltzman, the gifted astrologer and intuitive who is in Florida, in South Florida, will be calling us. I have had the great pleasure of being a client and friend of Iris Saltzman for several decades, literally, and Iris Saltzman has been remarkably accurate in the things that she has helped me with, and thousands of others. And some of you might know the book by Dr. Brian Weiss, the psychiatrist, called Many Lives, Many Masters, which has had many printings and which has had a lot of influence. It's been a very popular book. Well, Iris Saltzman, of course, was the teacher of Brian Weiss. And I was actually in class 25 or so years ago, possibly longer, when Brian Weiss was a student of Iris Saltzman. Iris Saltzman, one of the most gifted individuals in the field of astrology and as an intuitive. Iris Saltzman, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Hi, Joshua.
Hi, Iris. Hi. Thank you for taking time to...
Am I on time?
You are right on time. Thank you. I was very kind of you to call in. No, thank you very much.
Funny connection, but I hope this is a good connection because on my side it's a little funny.
Okay, actually, no, we can hear you very clearly here, and I just
okay, good.
Gave you a very nice...
Yours gets broken up a little bit on my connection.
Okay, all righty. Luckily,
hello? Okay.
We hear you. Now, I mentioned that...
You hear me, but there's funny communication, but that's okay. I'll talk.
All right.
First of all...
Yes.
I want to say how you doing. I haven't seen you for I don't know how many years. You must be very different now. You've grown, haven't you?
Not any taller, but possibly intellectually, hopefully. I'm not really sure. No, I'm not really sure.
Oh,
but I've mentioned many people...
First of all...
Yes.
What do people say about you? How's your work doing now? You still working with the same, or is it different?
No, same natural foods, and I'm doing natural foods now on the air, and I felt that you connected into the wellness community, in my opinion, and so I thought that what you do as an intuitive is so dismissed by the mainstream, and of course I personally know how accurate what you do is, that I wanted you to be on the air on my wellness show because I felt that your ideas, what you represent, has merit. That is, you can do what you claim. You can help people, guide them by seeing things that they cannot see. Am I explaining that correctly?
Perfect.
Oh,
better than anyone else has ever explained me, and I wouldn't be on your show if I didn't respect you.
Thank you, Iris.
I'm not commercial. I do not, when I'm told to do something, I can't do it. I don't feel comfortable. You said I could do whatever I wish to do.
Yes.
So I am.
Yes, good.
And that's the only reason I'm here, because I respect you.
Thank you.
And I wouldn't go on a program that forces me to say things that I don't believe in.
Right.
And I can't do it. I couldn't sell out. I have a passion for what I do. And if you don't have a passion for what you do, you can't be very good at it. And if you want to clean a house or sell dresses or real estate, you can't be good at it unless you have a passion. So
right.
It's up to you. Now, when a person comes to me, they say, why would they go to you? Well, they come with certain questions. And first of all, they're aware, they don't know what astrology is all about. So I took a heavy, heavy subject and reduced it to a cartoon, made it simple. which is very, very difficult. It's astronomy, it's physics, it's math. People have no idea. It's an old, old science. There's medical astrology. Carl Jung, father of psychiatry, never did couple counseling without astrology. That's why he was good at what he did. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, which people don't realize, teaching medical this, was a father of medicine. He said a physician, and he quote Hippocrates, a physician without a knowledge of astrology has no right to call himself a physician. So I'm a medical astrologer too. I'm not a doctor, but when the baby is born, they come to me with their month, day, year, and the exact time, as close as they can anyway, of the baby's birth. And when the baby is born, there's a potential for, there's positive, there's negative in the chart. So I help a mother guide her child. She can see their talents, what they could be good for, their careers, their health. I'm also a medical astrologer. Different parts of the body are ruled by the planets, which I'm not going to go into now. We don't have that much time. But medical are using me, finally, using me as a consultant. I had to prove myself. Let's see, Florida's kind of backward in my field, but I affected it. I'm here now, let's see, 45 years in Florida, 50 years in my profession, but they had to prove my work. I don't go where I don't belong. I don't use, everybody is psychic. I took a beautiful word and they've misused it, so I resent being called psychic. They call me psychic astrologer. I gag. A baby is psychic. An animal is psychic. It's intuitive. So I use the word intuitive, which I like that you introduced me as the intuitive astrologer. And I'm using, well, I call myself an intuitive. The psychic, the fortune tellers gave it a bad name. When you ride in your car, you drive by, you see fortune teller with a big sign outside, psychic reader. I don't like that. They took a beautiful word, which is intuitive, and destroyed it. So I resent being called a psychic. And people on the hotline, well, there are people that like that. They pay $1 a minute if they're lonely. I don't understand it. I do and I don't. So I'm trying not to be judgmental. There are people who would rather go there than go to a therapist and pay them their fee. They don't mind paying $1 a minute or 60 minutes. They don't know who you are. They haven't got a map in front of them. I call a horoscope a blueprint of your soul. And we don't always follow the blueprint. It's not easy. The baby is born with a given set of planets with a certain personality, and he's affected by where he lives, or she. Twins are different, 2 minutes apart, 2 seconds apart. One could be an introvert, one could be an extrovert. Now, the parent affects the child. So when I look at them, when they come to me for a reading, I ask them, what is your mother's birthday, the father's birthday, and the environment where we live. A child born in China hasn't got the same education as a child born in New York. So I even chart China. I have Los Angeles' birth chart. I can go into so much, but we don't have that much time. But Los Angeles is September 4th, 1781. That's when it was founded. And I have San Francisco, April 15th, 1850, when they had the first city charter. Exactly when they signed the papers. So then I make a chart to see if the person is compatible to their surroundings. Maybe a flower does not grow the same in Los Angeles as it grows in Florida. We're nearer to the equator here. So then I can get really heavy, but people aren't that interested. Some of my advanced students are learning astrology enough to get on with their lives, to know who they are. So I broke it down to simple. The heavy, heavy subject. But I broke it down to simple. How to understand your mate. How to understand your child. How to help your therapist. How to help your doctor. Get in touch with yourself. Who am I? When am I born? What am I here for? These are the questions I get. And very few parents understand children that are unusual. Your school system doesn't cater to the unusual child, the gifted child, the child who has maybe haven't got the money to go to a private school. Maybe our school system, our educational system, isn't so great as it should be. We've taken out all the right brain subjects. The right brain is your intuitive. The left side of the brain is your logic. Astrology is very logical. It's mathematics. That's my left hemisphere of the brain. We all have left and right. The left side of the brain has to do with very logical things. That's why people become accountants, or they become mathematicians, or they do very analytical things. We all have that. The right side of the brain is your intuitive, the arts, the music, the painting. It's more intuitive. So if we don't use both, we're in trouble. The school system now, unless you're very wealthy or you can afford private schooling, you could send your gifted child to that school. But the public schools are catering to the left brain only. Now, every child is not ready for college. Every child doesn't have to go to college or to get a degree or to become a doctor or an attorney or whatever. The parents usually push them into things, not knowing it, not being mean. They don't know any better. They don't have a map in front of them. That child maybe would be a better salesman. It would be a better, maybe something that doesn't need college education. He could be a mechanic. He may be good in an engineering, which needs, of course, schooling. But a chart will point out the possibilities of a career for you. Now, when I say possibilities, we have free will. And free will means if you're a destructive human being, you're still going to take the destructive path. So every one of my students write this down before they get a reading. Character is destiny. And we all have positive, we all have negative in our chart. And I bring out the positive. The negative, we've got to work on it. That's called karma. K-I-R-M-A, maybe from a past life, maybe this life. It doesn't really matter. We're born with negative and positive in our chart. Maybe the child was born, I bring humor into my work when I teach, but I say, maybe this child was born to sell drugs. So he could either be a drug dealer on the street or become a pharmacist. I mean, one or the other. Which way? It could be a butcher, a murderer, or a surgeon. You're all going to wield the knife. Which way are we going to do it? So, in other words, there's positive and negative in everything. But if you are born with a frightened to do your own thing, or your parents control you, and they mean well, they just don't have the tools to understand the child. So I help them understand that this child is not college material. They give me a hard time. I say, look, do whatever you want, but this is what I see. Mm-hmm. I said, this child would do better without schooling. Not everybody needs schooling. Not everybody is good at math. Not everybody. So everybody has a talent. Some people are born to love music, and they love music. Parents don't want to hear this. If they're into schooling and they're medical people, they're going to be a doctor whether they like it or not, Iris. I said, look, then don't see me. If you can't look in a mirror, then don't come to me. I screen people now before I read them. If they're not ready for me, I send them to a fortune teller. They serve their purpose too. They give them what they want to hear, not what they need. Mm-hmm. And you have to look in a mirror, Joshua, to know who the heck you are. It takes a lot to do that. I know my faults. I know my good part. I know my hang-ups. I'm working on my hang-ups. I know I could be too control freak. So now I have to control myself before I can control anyone else. I love teaching. So I'm teaching a subject I love.
When you, many years ago, one of your students, you've had, thousands of students, but one of your students was Brian Weiss, the psychiatrist who wrote the book Many Lives, Many Masters. And that book was really a very popular book. And so to a large extent, the information that you taught Brian Weiss, which he, of course, did not know at all, and then because of your information, that book became validated. Right.
It validated that's what it was all about. And first of all, see, I'm getting a double. I'm hearing myself talking twice. It's the line, but I'll get through it.
Okay.
It must be Mercury today. It's interfering with communication. Hello?
Yes. No, we can hear you.
Me?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Yeah, I get a double feedback. I hear my own voice coming back, but I'll overcome it. I can overcome anything if I have to. It's where the planets are today. The moon is in Aries today.
Yes.
And Mercury is in there, and the sun affects your outer personality. The moon affects your emotions. If the moon can pull the tide back and forth, here's what I tell my clients. I say if the moon could pull the tide back and forth, we're made of over 70% water, our body. So
Yes.
it affects your woman's menstrual cycle is affected by the moon, your emotions by the moon. And we can have an earthquake in the world and you have an earthquake in your private life at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have to get in touch with the universe and become in touch with the world itself, with the trees, the flowers. Man is losing it. We're losing it. And there's nothing wrong with computers, and I know we're in that world now, and there's nothing wrong with cell phones, but people are losing that human touch of relating to each other, seeing each other's eyes when they speak. Today, like now, I'm used to talking to people in person.
Yes.
I'll overcome it because you're on the other line. We have lots of people on this line right now. So I'm pretending that I'm standing on a podium talking to a big crowd, because talking into a telephone, you know, or into a microphone is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
But I've done that before. So we're losing the human touch. Children aren't relating to their parents that much anymore. They're talking into a cell phone. They text their parents. They don't hear the voice. There's no human contact. People are meeting each other online. I know there are people who will be annoyed with me, but they can do that. But I can't go online.
Mm-hmm.
I have to feel their aura. We all have an aura. It's an energy field around our body. And some people do well with a computer. I don't own a computer, Josh.
Ah.
I use the brain like a computer. Since you have seen me, a lot of brain sciences have wired me up. They tell me I'm using my brain like everyone else, but I'm using a different part of the brain that man forgot how to use. It's animal instinct, intuitive. Animals use it. It's called the third eye. I'm teaching people how to develop their third eye. Third eye is a pineal gland in the center of your brain. It's the size of a pea. And if you don't use it, it gets hard. It gets calcification. So that's part of why people get dementia. They don't feed it with the proper foods. They don't eat brain food. That's where you come in with nutrition. Without nutrition, mental, physical, and spiritual. We use our doctors, sure, but we don't. Everybody can't take drugs. The world is on drugs now, prescription drugs. If you need it, it's great, but people are taking it unnecessarily. It's up to your physician. I love a physician who goes by the book and also by his intuitive. And that's using his right side of the brain and the left side. He uses his book knowledge, but he also uses his intuitive when he looks at an x-ray. That's what I do. First, I use my feelings before I do the astrology. I use my intuitive. Then the astrology is my logic. It'll proofread my intuitive. So they tell me I'm left brain and right brain at the same time, equally balanced. Astrology is my left brain, that's mathematics, and my intuitive is the right side of the brain. They have just realized that businessmen who never knew they should be using their right brain, that's using their gut feeling, a hunch, they make better businessmen today. We have two brains, one in our gut and one in our brain. When you'll hear people say, my gut feeling tells me I shouldn't do that. But we do. The book says we'll do it. But your gut feeling says don't. Well, we get confused. So then I've been using my gut feeling and listening to my intuitive more than anything for the last 5 years. I've changed my health patterns by my gut feeling. And you'd be very proud of me. I'm eating properly now.
Good hours.
I don't want to get hypoglycemia, which the world is flooded with by eating properly. Do you know what hypoglycemia is, Joshua? Do you?
Yes. Low
blood sugar.
Yes.
Which masks itself as other illnesses. It could bring on suicides. It could bring on emotional mood swings. And I don't blame the poor doctors because they don't teach it to them in medical school. Through a chart, I can see who a candidate is. And if you don't take care of it, we have secondary diabetes. So when they come to me for reading, they get a health checkup, they get a career checkup, they get an emotional checkup, and teach them how to get along with their mates and their parents and their friends, and how can you get along with anybody if you can't get along, if you don't understand yourself?
Right.
That's what I'm teaching.
Right.
Who we are, why am I here, what are we here for? Not everybody is meant to be a famous person.
Right.
I mean, some of us have come back to be average. Some of us are born to be leaders. Some of us are born to be artists. But the chart will help you. And the parent, instead of just getting a formula of how to feed the child, I'm working with younger people now, so they've affected me. Every generation, I'm older now, Josh, I'm very old. So now I'm working with 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and I'm 88. So I don't have to read about the generation. I meet them in person. They're under a microscope when they come here. So I know how each generation feels, which is astrology.
Mm-hmm.
Every 14 years, we have a different generation with different ideas. So it's changing the world. And I guess you work with every age group too. But they're not like my age group, but I know who I am, but I can adapt to who I'm with because of astrology. I know how they feel. I know how they think. They like different music than I do. That's the beauty of my work. It helps you be not judgmental. And I could be very judgmental. So astrology helped me more than anyone else. I become who I'm reading. I don't read their mind. I become their chart. I know how they feel. You follow me?
Iris, I do follow you. Let me just do a station identification. For those of you just
I know
tuning
it's late.
in. No, we're doing great on time. You're listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live radio network, and our guest is Iris Saltzman, the famed intuitive and astrologer, calling in from her office in South Florida. Iris, could you give us your contact information right now? Do you mind?
Did she give it to you, Adrian?
No, yes, but I thought you'd give it on the air for the listeners.
Well, I'll give you my, I'll let them call that my 954.
Yes.
I don't call myself too much. 954-986-1303. And I'm on the internet there. I don't even look at it. I don't have a computer. But I work without a computer. I use the brain.
Iris, do you still have your weekly classes?
Well, no, it's very different now.
Oh, really?
I'm selective.
Okay.
I have private classes for people who truly want to apply it. See, I'm not interested like you, Josh. It's not about the money with me. It's about people who really want it. So I run classes for people who truly want to use it in their lives, not just to waste time.
Yes.
I've gone beyond that. And if they could apply it to their lives. So my classes now are smaller classes, but they're very intense, and they love it. And they're people who want to get on with their lives and have better relationships with themselves and others and have an understanding of who they are and why they're here.
Well, having taken your classes,
how to be their own.
I've taken your classes many times in South Florida when you had those Friday evening classes, and they were always packed, and the readings you gave people were always completely different. They were not variations on a theme. Every person in the room got different readings, and I was always very impressed by that. And it was just remarkable.
You know what that was, Joshua?
What
that was? My right side of the brain, I didn't even know it. A little bit, tiny bit of astrology, and it was using what I see. That was my third eye. In India, they come here from all over the world, and I don't advertise. My biggest following is India now, and they have the least divorce in the world. You want to know why? Their arranged marriages are done by an astrologer.
Ah.
So they come here from all over the world. I get Africa, special people. Of course, you're special too.
Thank you.
And when I say special, not everybody likes astrology. I'm teaching them to be their own physician. It's preventive medicine before the illness, before the divorce, before their free will. And wherever you live, I do relocations. Like you in California are entirely different than Florida.
Mm-hmm.
In Florida, you're near the equator. Not everything is different. Think of a flower. A flower grows different in California than it does in Florida.
Right.
You were born in Manhattan. So you had, by making a move, I make a relocation chart. not the same. And if a person lives, say, in New York, they're entirely different than Florida. So in relationship to the atmosphere and the weather, it affects your health, too.
Yes.
I help people relocate if they want to.
Right.
I don't rob free will. I give them choices.
Iris, it's been a great pleasure having you as a guest on my show today. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to...
What was hard?
Yes.
I didn't know where to begin. There's so many facets to my work.
No, there
there's
are.
astrology, there's intuition, developing your third eye, but I enjoyed it immensely.
Iris, thank you very
Honored
much.
to be your guest.
Thank you,
You're
Iris.
welcome. Bye.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to Iris Saltzman, the gifted, intuitive, an astrologer calling from her center in North Miami, Florida. You're listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live radio network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Mountain Valley Spring Water, since 1871, has been bottled at the source in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Twice named the best tasting water in the world, Mountain Valley water is naturally alkaline and bottled in glass, providing the perfect blend of nature's minerals, giving you a crisp, clean taste. To start your home and office delivery in Southern California, call us at 1-800-499-9982 or visit us online at www.mountainvalleywaterla.com. New customers will receive their first 2 5-gallon bottles free. Mountain Valley Water, the official sponsor of Here's to Your Health with Josh Lane on LA Talk Live. Oh, your skin looks great.
Thank you.
What's your secret?
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence.
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence?
Yes, it's a beauty secret used since the time of the Greeks and Romans. The spa in Malibu told me about frankincense and myrrh by Ancient Essence, and now my skin is lovely.
Well, your skin looks great.
Call Ancient Essence at 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Call 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret. Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Available at fine spas and beauty centers.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at LATalkLive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey, shout us out. What's the count? I'm your host, Ferran Dozier. I'm inviting you to join me on WDC Radio every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time as we discuss community topics around health, sports, and entertainment. So don't forget to shout us out. What's the count? On WDC Radio, only on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. What's the count?
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
And here's to your health. My guest today is a longtime friend, Dr. Murry Susser. And many of you have probably heard about him already when I was talking about my heart recovery. You know, years ago I had this extreme car accident, and then it turned out that it damaged my heart, and I went to USC and everybody else, and everybody told me nothing could be done about it. I mean, 4 drugs and a pacemaker and a defibrillator in your chest. And that's just not my approach. And so asking around with all my little genius in my life, and Dr. Murry Susser is one of them, to get an idea about how to approach this from a different way. And guess what I get? Think outside the box. Well, what's inside the box? Inside the box is drugs, right? And they don't work.
That's what I have on my wall. I have a box that says "Think outside of this."
Anyway, and so talking to Murry and Dr. Fredrickson in Germany, a friend of mine who does these embryonic cell extracts, and Dr. Ron Klotz from A4M, and so on and so on. And we put our recovery program together. And it worked.
Well, that's not surprising because you were labeled by the box as being incurable. Uh-huh. And I figured that means cured from within. So you figured out a way to use a lot of resources, like your friends and me, and to find a way to cure from within. And that's what you did. You used substances that are available to everybody. And you used them in such a way that you got a normal heart at your age and after that kind of injury. Amazing. It's an amazing substance.
That's what everybody told me, yeah. And then I even took this thing to court, right? And there was this typical MD cardiologist response. Cardiologist. Well, all what you have is age-related atrial fibrillation. It's a bunch of nonsense that is caused by an accident, right? Well, then about a year later, when I was totally back to normal, and then the response from the same guy was, well, it is so logical. It had to have been from a car accident, because if you had age-related atrial, you'd still be back to it, and so on and so on. I mean,
when they're proven wrong, which often happens, they don't admit it. Uh-huh. They just shrug it off and say, well, it's the times, or somebody misread me. But the TACT study was just completed. The trial to assess chelation therapy. Chelation therapy, I think, you never did chelation for your heart, did you?
No.
You didn't have to. But the chelation therapy is really fascinating, because for 35 years we've been doing chelation, which means metal binding, and we've been doing it for heart patients and saving a lot of heart patients. Apparently, people who were doomed, people who were said they had to have bypass surgery, people who said they had to have stents, people who had taking 4 or 5 heavy cardiac drugs, and we chelated them along with other things, which means we gave them intravenous EDTA, ethylene diamine tetracetic acid, chelating agent, which means metal binding agent. It takes the toxic metals out of your body and out of the body through the urine, and these people would be getting rid of these toxic metals, and presumably that would help the arteries. There's lots of evidence that a lot of arterial disease is caused by too much lead, too much cadmium, too much mercury, and these chelating agents like EDTA, which are very safe and very effective and have been around forever, and they're not patentable because they're too long. So anyhow, I wanted to bring it up that the TACT study showed almost unequivocally, this is a $31 million study sponsored by the NIH, the National Institute of Health, and this $31 million study, which is not expensive nowadays for that sort of thing, showed 17% decrease in cardiac events in people who got 30 chelation therapies. 17%, and No, 39% decrease in cardiac events. Cardiac event is something you don't want. You want to have an uneventful cardiac.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Yeah.
39% in diabetics. So this is almost unequivocal for a study of this nature done by these people. This is done by the government and sponsored by people who didn't want it to win.
Yeah, that's so obvious, right? The way it started.
They didn't want it to win. They started off in a way that it almost couldn't win, and it still was strong enough. The drug, the treatment, the very safe treatment was strong enough to win, even against all odds. And the people who are now looking at it, the conventional docs who are looking at it are saying, oh, well, it's not strong enough evidence. It's not strong enough evidence to prove anything. I'll tell you, if you brought a new drug on the market that was patented by a drug company, and it had this kind of statistics, this would be a multi-billion-dollar drug. This would make more money than Lipitor.
Yeah.
But it won't because imagine you're a great famous cardiologist and you've been saying for 35 years the chelation doesn't work and it's dangerous and it's quackery, and now suddenly this study by the NIH comes out and says it really works. Look, it really works. What are you going to say? Well, I don't believe the study. That's what else can they say? Otherwise, they have to admit they've been wrong for 30 years and harmed a lot of people, maybe.
Right. Well, it points at the root cause, right, of our health problems. I mean, over the past few years, we've learned more and more that the U.S. was on the bottom of the totem pole in regards to overall health ranking, right? Sure. I mean, there was at first we said it was number 52. There was some data come out of World Health Organization and so on, and everybody denied that in orthodox medicine. And just very recently, a few weeks ago, and including a big whole cover page, on in Time magazine, basically showing that this was actually the case, right? And when you look at the facts, the data regarding overall health care, most people will agree in this field now that we are actually not talking about health care. We are talking about the disease care, right? Oh, yeah. I mean, look, and some of them are blaming the drug companies. I actually would not blame them, because what is a company for? I mean, they're out there to make money, right?
Yeah, they're out there and to produce a reliable product.
Right. They were supposed to. There we probably have a lot of questions.
Well, yeah, I think the unfortunate thing is they probably don't care so much about the product as they do about the success of it.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's...
And it also depends in different countries how people look at it. Like, for example, I had Dr. Friedrich, a friend of mine from Germany, visiting, and there was a gentleman from England too, and they were talking about it, and they said, you know what? What is going on in America? Don't you see what's happening in Europe? I mean, the total change in in healthcare. The government has the right to go into your records. I mean, they are like little dictators, and they literally will tell you, the doctor, well, you prescribe for this one drug so and so much, and for one disorder, and for another disorder you describe this other drug, and according to our data, those ratios are a little bit off. Maybe you should prescribe a little bit more for this and that. The computer basically tells you what to do.
So you got a bureaucrat running a computer to tell you what to do. It's been going on for years with insurance companies. So now you only get 30 of these pills a month. You can take one a day, and this is a 240-pound guy who has a need for more. What do I do? So no, you only get 30 pills a month.
Yeah, it is just totally amazing, And in Europe, it's recognized, for example, that statins lead to diabetes, right? I mean, they would talk about it as an established fact, Here you can't really officially say that,
No, well, look here. You take the statin drugs to lower the cholesterol. First of all, we haven't really proven that lowering the cholesterol saves anybody. Second of all, we've shown unequivocally that the statins decrease your coenzyme Q10 in your body. That's a very important nutrient, and it's life-saving. And and it's published in this inside the box literature in standard literature, and it's widely known. And most doctors don't prescribe the coenzyme Q10, which can be life-saving in people taking Lipitor or one of these other one of these other statin drugs.
Yeah.
This $20 billion industry.
I mean, gosh, a trip to the health food store could save your life. I mean, what are we talking about?
That's not what Mark Twain said. Mark Twain said, "Be careful reading health books; you may die of a misprint."
So, anyway, and when it comes to cholesterol, also, I mean, very simple. I mean, red rice yeast extract.
That's right.
Very effective, all natural, and so on and so on. But anyway, so over the past few months, I always try to initiate some new thinking in our field. And I've been talking to a number of people, Dr. Ron Klotz from A4M and Jonathan Collins from Townsend Letter for Doctors.
Good guys.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely magnificent, right? And we say, how do we change things back from disease care to true health care? Because right now it just looks very simply as if everything is designed to keep you sick, coming and paying, right? I mean, there's no question about it. The drug companies even are buying out medical schools, and wherever you look, and television shows, some of the New York-based television shows, I mean, they portray an alternative medicine doctor as a real bad guy. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But on the other hand, we had a real genius in our field, Professor Emanuel Cheraskin.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, years ago.
Cherry was wonderful.
He was my mentor for many years. He came to my lectures once, and he said, "Hans, we're basically doing the same thing. I mean, you're applying all the different variables." And we did one big longevity study where we put cancer-prone animals under all the wrong conditions, including cigarette smoke blown through the cages, and all the right conditions, including made them do exercise, right? And that's the reason why you, Dr. Sasser, promised me to do some exercise, et cetera, right? So anyway, but the difference was 100% in average lifespans, right?
And well, I do exercise. Channel up, channel down.
I knew we'd get some really good laughable explanations, But anyway, the bottom line is, when we do the same studies without the exercise in the positive groups, everything drops by 50%. Well, American College of Sports Medicine has for many, many years proposed the same thinking.
Well, sports medicine is a great way to get exercise, but just look at the people who overdo it too. All the total knee replacements and total hips and the runners. Even moderation can be practiced to excess.
I agree. As a matter of fact, I was recently talking to some people that I was associated with in the health clubs, right? When Health and Tennis Corporation, I was on the board with Jim Lovell and a bunch of other people, and talking to those people, they looked at me and they said, well, how much were you doing here? And maybe you should do a little bit less. And I evaluated that, and I'm actually doing a little bit less. I'm eating more. At the last A4M meeting, my body fat was measured to 10.7%, which is far too low, right?
Yeah, I'll get you up to 12. I'll show you.
And I'm feeling good. I mean, it feels magnificent. But still, we haven't really come to a point. How do we bring disease care back to healthcare?
Well, a couple things. One thing you said, do modern. It isn't always modern. Sometimes you have to reactivate a lot of the past. Like Walter Blumer did that study in Switzerland 40 years ago, where he lived he's a doctor in Switzerland. He lived in a small town with one highway through the town, and he noticed, he was working with the coroner in the town, he noticed that there were more people dying of cancer who lived near the highway. And he did a lot of testing for lead levels. Then the gasoline had a lot more lead in it, and he found out that there was much more cancer of various kinds in people who were living near and exposed to highway
fumes,
gasoline fumes, and so he did chelation again. So we're talking about, I talked about the tax study. Now talking about Blumer did his own study, which was an elegant little study, and he showed a 90% decrease in all forms of cancer in a small group of people, which was a very well-controlled study for that kind of observational study. And it was 90% decrease. So his group the treated group had 1 death of cancer death. The untreated group had 17 cancer deaths. Came to 90% decrease in cancer. And was that all from the chelation? It might have been. It might have been. Wouldn't that be something? We don't. Unfortunately, nobody's done a really good follow-up study on that, but that deserves a lot of attention.
Yeah.
And it shows that there's various ways to chelate and detoxify, and I think that's what we're talking about.
Right.
So if we can chelate, we can detoxify, and how to bring this into the modern methodology of treating people to get people better.
That's exactly what I was getting at, right? Because according to Professor Taraskin, lifelong health is achievable by homeostasis, by doing about 50 or 70 variables correctly. Now, the 50 or 70 variables could be grouped together as health practices. And when we do these health practices, earlier people responded by saying, oh, well, this is just health practice. It has nothing to do with real aging and this and that, Well, in the past few years, there is telomere research, right? Those little extensions that your DNA molecules. It's actually proved that good health practices are true anti-aging modalities.
Absolutely.
So now people are listening, right? And according to Taraskin and some of the work that I did with Taraskin, where we also brought the idea across to people, it's not just lifelong health, whatever that is in your mind, the definition. Lifelong health is synonymous with fitness, sexuality, best possible immune functions, least rate of aging, best recovery from disease. And when people learn about this, oh, well, maybe we're willing to do a little bit of something about it.
So it's not just age, it's quality of life.
Totally.
So everything you said is talking about the quality of life. So if you can have a way for people to get quality of life economically, and people who are in charge profiting by this, the problem is that politically people in charge don't profit by it.
Well,
and so we got to put other people in charge or put ourselves in charge. I think with the internet there could be some sort of communication system where people put themselves in charge and as a group.
Well, this is another starting point where we're working on getting the ideas across to people. How to change disease care back to healthcare is very simple. I mean, normally a person goes to a regular doctor. What are your symptoms? Here's a prescription drug, right? A patient goes to an alternative anti-aging doctor. What are your symptoms? Or here's a nutrient or a vitamin. Well, that's kind of cute, it's probably better than the drugs. But how about changing the system so that these symptoms don't appear in the first place? So whenever you go to see a doctor, a little checklist that really involves all the different contributing factors to overall health, from exercise to nutrition to supplementation to stress management to environment also including, for example, being aware of a lot of the problem areas like genetically modified foods and so on and so on. And we've applied that with health clubs and with various different companies that I was involved with. We are not only with the health clubs giving people an exercise place where they can do exercise, but we also educate them about the many other contributing factors.
And it's when we're talking like this, sometimes it could sound overwhelming to somebody who has never been a patient doing this sort of thing. How am I going to do all that? Well, in my practice, I've been doing this for 40 years. And in my practice, what I've found is that sometimes very simple things. I have a 2-page diet. I call my basic therapeutic diet. And it's basically taking junk food out of the diet, particularly sugar, white flour, caffeine, and alcohol. And you don't have to be 100% rigid about it. I think.
You don't want me to get drunk anymore?
Well, only when I get it. And so people.
Well, when my luscious girlfriend comes over.
What does she drink? Okay, so
tequila.
Yeah. So, but what I found is I have had a great impact on a lot of people's lives, I believe. And they tell me this. And sometimes it's just as simple as taking them off junky foods. And the junky foods are not necessarily cheap foods. You know, you can get junk foods in a gourmet restaurant.
Yeah, I totally believe
so.
it.
You know, if it has too much, you know, gourmet food is sugar and salt.
Yeah. Anyway, but you're back in the Los Angeles area.
Yeah.
Why don't you give your address and your phone number where people can reach you?
Oh yeah, welcome your calls at 310-479-8909. I'm located in West LA on Motor Avenue, 3283 Motor Avenue, not far from the shopping centers. It's a busy little area. With
Dr. Leroy Perry.
Dr. Leroy Perry has a large 20,000 square foot building with the International Sports Institute. He does a lot of sports medicine and sports psychiatry. I mean, sports. No, my daughter does sports psychiatry. My daughter Jenny is a sports psychologist actually. But Leroy Perry has a marvelous institute there. I don't work directly with his stuff, but I send a lot of patients to him for the exercise program and for the the body adjustments that he does.
Yeah, I was just over there. I mean, I was totally impressed with. I mean, some of the new equipment that's just absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, and he has the spinal extension in the pool. He has the Elizabeth Taylor pool for physical therapy. It's a physical therapy in the pool. Have you done that one?
Yeah.
That's
Good. It's weird stuff.
Yeah, that's I like that.
See, years ago when I was in the military, during maneuvers, I was hanging outside the window on a second floor building, and the bad guys were coming, and I looked down there. Oh, I can do this. I'll jump down there. And it looked like soft ground, but it turned out it was concrete with dirt on had drizzled on it. And I didn't think that I had a 50-pound pack on my back. And from that on, my lower back just went, I mean, over the years, it got worse and worse and worse, right? And then finally, John Thie at Pasadena Chiropractic College. I mean, he looked me over and he told a graduating chiropractor how to adjust me. And I changed also my exercise habits. I don't do anything that compresses. I do things that stretch, and I'm perfectly fine.
Okay, you did great. But one of the things that is that when you were in the Luftwaffe? I think it's interesting that Hans and I were military pilots. I flew jet fighters for the United States, and Hans flew for Germany. And I sometimes think the irony, if we had been in World War II together, we'd be trying to kill each other.
Yeah. Well, I have a good friend of mine, a veterinarian, right horse veterinarian. He was a bomber pilot during World War II. You know, I introduced him to friends. You know, I said, this is the guy who dropped the blank, blank, blank on my parents, right?
Oh, God. You know, it's good that we can laugh about it now because it was really gruesome. But I just think it's a beautiful irony that we can be such close colleagues and friends.
Exactly. That's what we call development for a better, positive future, right? Yeah. I mean, in my case, I was my family comes from East Germany. We had no money. I ran out of money. I joined the Air Force. I was on an air base, half Americans, half Germans. We flew American airplanes. Those guys were talking about graduate school in the U.S. I applied for graduate school, and I got my Ph.D., State University of New York at Stony Brook. Nobody knew who that place was at that time, and nowadays it's recognized in the world probably as the number one in the medical sciences.
And all the car companies are saying German engineering, right?
Anyway.
But anyhow, what I want to say is that we've talked about anti-aging. We've talked about health issues for now 30-some years that we've known each other, and you've been a big influence on my life, and I appreciate that. But what I've been able to do with that is to look into just a wide breadth of alternative medicine for people, and I think that to me has been the most satisfying part of my life. I got very
and that was the best. That was the biggest influence that you had on my decisions. You were not telling me do this, do this, do this. You made me think.
Yeah,
and that's really the best starting point. And then I talked to some other people and maybe even include that. And then the Orthodox people kept telling me, oh, nothing's going to work. Nothing's going to work. Your condition is so. And then I doubled up. I doubled up on everything positive that
That's
cannot
right.
do any harm. And
And-
it worked.
Yeah,
At my age, I'm classified as high-performing athlete according to cardiac output, right?
Yeah.
Ejection fraction, 80%.
Okay, what that means, just remember the ejection fraction of 80%, the normal is about 50 to 60%. If it's below 40%, you're in trouble. Hans was down to 20% with his heart.
28%.
28%, which is almost always lethal.
Uh-huh.
And so you're, now are we looking at a ghost? No, we're not. We're looking at a very vibrant person who did good things for the body.
We're getting to the end of our interview here. So, Dr. Sasser, give us your address, telephone number again, where to reach. And my recommendation, you have anything, let's say, unresolved, especially chronic fatigue syndrome or a lot of the other areas that we were involved in, go see Dr. Sasser.
I treat a lot of Lyme disease. I wrote a book on chronic fatigue syndrome, so that's something that I have a lot of experience with. And my phone number is 310-479-8909. 310-479-8909. I'm at 3283 Motor Avenue. And we have telephones. We have everything.
Amazing stuff.
and welcome a chance to help you with your health.
Well, that's a good starting point. And here we go. Until we meet again, here's to your health. Another magnificent segment. Dr. Sasser, I appreciate you being here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on latalklive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
West Coast Stand Up, it's your boy Omar Ray, a.k.a. Suge Gotti. Forbidden Tuesdays with the Gems, 9 p.m. LA Talk Live. Let's get it.
Hi, I'm Jerry Bell of the Daz Band in New Birth.
And I'm Brahima Arsalan.
Inviting you to join us every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time for Jerry Bell's R&B Soul Classics, baby.
Join us as we play some of the greatest hits of soul and R&B and listen in to interesting discussions with the legends of the music.
So don't you forget, join us on the Jerry Bell's R&B Soul Classics. You'll love it. Exclusively on latalklive.com.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio.
Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com, baby.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure.
This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk, baby. We are music.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute. Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane. Brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. You're listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live radio network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. Our next guest is Sandeep Agarwal, who has a company, I hope I pronounced that closely, who has a excellent company, Pure Indian Foods, and he has a number of products, including his ghee products, Ghee. Ghee is a clarified butter that was very popular in India, and now, because of the fact that the world is so international, ghee is very popular in the United States. And so, Sandeep, are you on the phone?
Yes, I am, Josh.
Thank you much. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Yeah, it's close enough. Actually, it's funny that the same last name, there are 8 different spellings in the directory. So, you are doing the best you can. It's actually, in my mother tongue, it's pronounced Agarwal, but Agarwal is close enough.
Okay, close enough. Okay, very good. Thank you. Thanks very much. You're kind there. It's always a drag when someone mispronounces your name, Now,
No, absolutely. That's fine.
Tell the listening audience, what exactly is ghee?
Yes. So as you mentioned that it has been used in other parts of the world, but in America, it has been kind of a new product. So what ghee is that it is the fat part of the milk. So when I say that, I want to mention that milk contains fat, carbohydrate, protein, water, and minerals. So there is about 3% fat in the milk, and ghee is that 3% fat of the milk which has been concentrated. So ghee is that 100% fat from that milk.
And how is it used?
It is used as a cooking oil. So in India and many parts of the world, it is simply used either as a cooking oil. So while you are cooking with the spices, the recommended way is that people would just take small amount of ghee in a pan, heat it up, and then add spices to it and let the spices bloom, until you get an aromatic, smell coming out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would add your, anything, onion and garlic or anything that you are sauteing anything with. And you would then add either whatever you are cooking, lentils, vegetables, meat. But this is a general process for cooking anything, any dish, is that you would start with ghee, add the spices, and then go on. So it's used as a cooking oil, and it's also used as a spread. So if you ever went to an Indian restaurant and if you had the bread, which is either the flat bread or there are many, many kinds of breads, it's smeared with ghee. Or if ghee is not available, then they use butter. But in India, they use ghee on freshly made flatbreads. So it is used as an oil or as a spread.
And ghee is a traditional food in Indian culture. Why is
It
ghee?
is actually, yes, it is a traditional food in Indian culture, and it's interesting that it has a document history of over 3,000 years of use in India. It is a very integral part of Ayurveda, which is the India's holistic health system,
Hmm.
which people have been using for a very long time. And a lot of medicines are actually made using ghee as a base. So ghee is used as not only as a nutritious food product and as a supplement, but it is also used as a base for making many Ayurvedic supplements.
And for listeners who are tuning in who enjoy food, who enjoy trying different foods, who enjoy gourmet foods, is there an advantage to using ghee instead of using butter? Is there a health advantage?
I think there is. There are actually, it's a very interesting question. There are at least two main reasons why you would want to use ghee over butter. So, for people who really enjoy the taste of butter in their dish, but if they cook with butter, then there is protein in the butter which actually has a very low smoke point. So, what we mean by smoke point is that the temperature at which it is going to start to smoke or burn. So if you are making, say, scrambled eggs and you use butter to coat your pan, and then if you're not careful enough, then the solids, the protein in that butter is going to turn brown and it's going to give an off flavor and a brown color to your food product, which obviously is undesirable and it's unhealthy as well. Now, the beauty about ghee is that it is made from butter, but it is made by removing these solids from the butter. And that's why ghee is also called clarified butter, because it's clear as an oil when it is melted.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, it acquires a very high smoke point. So if protein would have a smoke point of, say, for example, 275 degrees Fahrenheit, ghee would have a smoke point of 485 degrees, which is quite high. Actually, you could do deep fat frying in ghee, and it will be just fine. So that's one advantage, is that the smoke point is very high. And second reason is that a lot of people that we are seeing who are lactose and casein intolerant.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the people who cannot handle dairy. They would have many different symptoms if they consume even a small amount of any dairy product. Ghee, on the other hand, is probably the only dairy product that these people can have because it does not contain casein, which is a protein in the milk, and it does not contain lactose, which is the sugar or the carbohydrate in the milk. So it doesn't contain either of these, and anybody who is dairy intolerant, most probably they are intolerant to one of these two.
So you just said that the ghee, also called clarified butter, does not have any casein and does not have any lactose. So you're saying that the individual who likes milk products but notices that they are sensitive, possibly intolerant to lactose, you feel that in general they do well on ghee.
They absolutely do well on ghee. We have many customers from all over the country who tell us that they are able to enjoy the dairy for the first time since they had stopped consuming it because they loved it. They love dairy products. They knew the health benefits of dairy products, that how important the milk fat is to them, how important those fat-soluble vitamins are to them.
Yes.
But there was just no way for them to consume it because even if they consumed a small amount of any dairy product, they were having issues. Let's take an example of yogurt. So there are many people who would consume yogurt because they cannot handle milk, because in yogurt, the lactose is converted to lactic acid by the bacteria during fermentation.
Mm-hmm.
But yogurt would still have casein. It will still have protein in there. So there are some people who can't have yogurt because of the casein.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, not only that people who enjoy dairy product, but who want to benefit from it, because milk and milk products have been an important part of human diet for many thousands of years. And we do understand the benefits, but if you have issues, you can't digest it, then ghee is the answer.
And the Pure Indian Foods, your clarified ghee, which is organic. Now, because your product is organic, the traditional Indian shopper for ghee, are they concerned about organic, or is it the new progressive wellness shopper who's interested in your organic ghee products?
Actually, if you say back, like say 100 years ago, when everything was organic,
right,
then there was no issue because my own family has been in ghee business in India for 5 generations for over
really?
124 years.
Oh, wow.
And I'm the 5th generation in this business. But yes, right now it is a big issue. Organic is definitely the way to go. And yes, you will not find organic ghee in an ethnic grocery store because a lot of ghee which is coming from India, organic is just getting started. It's all conventional. The cows do get the hormone injections. The grass or any feed that's given to them, it's not organic. The use of pesticide and chemical fertilizer is everywhere. So yeah, the organic is definitely farmers are becoming aware of, but finding such a product is it's extremely difficult in India, and as a result, the grocery stores which import these products from India, they don't carry organic products, and as a result, the best bet would be to find it in a health food store or online.
And why don't you at this point give us your contact information for the Pure Indian Foods Organic Clarified Ghee?
Oh, absolutely. Our website is pureindianfoods.com, which is PUREINDIANFOODS.com. And our phone number is 1-877-588-4433. I also wanted to mention that you indicated about organic, but we also need to understand the importance of grass-fed cows. And this is also an increasing point of discussion that not only organic, but cows do well when they are on the pasture, when they are eating grass. So if you give cow an organic feed like organic soy or organic corn all year long, it would still be, it could be called organic, although there are some requirements for pasture that the cow has to be on the pasture for 120 days in a given year, but that's only 1/3 of the year.
Yes.
But the true grass-fed cows, they have access to the pasture throughout the year. And that's when their milk is more nutritious. And that's what we do, is that we only focus on providing grass-fed and certified organic ghee, and which is unique because we actually focus more on the quality rather than quantity.
Let me ask you a little bit of a personal question. The ideas you're mentioning about organic and pasture-fed cattle are ideas that I certainly feel have absolute merit and are very important and are correct. Do any of your family members who were in business, say, a generation or two before you, do they think your information is not correct?
The thing is that, as we go along, new information comes and, it sometimes validate what we were doing or sometimes invalidate it.
Yes.
So, for example, say when my grandfather was in business, do you think that she knew about the risks of cows not eating only grass, or the risk of the fertilizer and pesticide in the farm, or from the other people from which we will source the milk? This kind of awareness was not there. So yes, obviously, if I tell right now, then we know scientifically also that it is true that we want to stay away from these pollutants. But yeah, back then I guess the awareness was just not there. But one important thing that my family has always believed in is selling pure ghee, because in India, a lot of ghee actually gets adulterated and it gets mixed in with trans fat. And my grandfather used to tell me all the time that we started this business, and at the same time, there were many other businesses and families who started ghee business. And over the years, they actually did extremely well. They've expanded into nationwide businesses, whereas my family, we were happy doing a small business in a small town in India because we actually never believed in adulterating or mixing anything else into the ghee. So that definitely we have maintained. as a quality standard that we do not want to deal with products which are adulterated. We will sell only pure products. And that's what we have always believed in. And so quality is essential, absolutely paramount to us. And that's what we are taking it forward, that as more information comes available, that what's more healthy for the cows, for the land, for the people, we are always interested in that.
Sandeep, so my question now is, where are your products sold? Are they mostly sold in Whole Food stores? I mean, who's carrying them now in the United States?
So we make the ghee in New Jersey, and we sell in Whole Foods in New Jersey, and we sell at different health food stores across the country.
Mm-hmm.
And a complete list of stores that sell our ghee is available on our website. So if you would go to pureindianfoods.com, on the top right-hand corner, there is a link called Store List, and you will find all the stores that are listed there. Plus, we also sell our ghee at Amazon. So if anybody who shops at Amazon.com can purchase our ghee from there, or they can buy it from our website.
And because your ghee is a traditional food, and you mentioned how it's used to cook lentils or fish or eggs, are there any new uses for ghee that the natural foods community has adopted?
The natural foods community also sometimes uses it as a dietary supplement, because we actually get a lot of calls from different clinics. One example is that there are some some clinics which deal with autistic children.
Mm-hmm.
And we learned that these children actually need a lot more fat. They actually did not receive enough fat, during their growing years. And these doctors believe that, they should be given good amount of very good fat. And so these families are recommended that they use grass-fed ghee, not only as a food, but if the child doesn't, say, eat well or something, to ensure that they get it as a supplement, as a spoonful, by mixing it to something. So yes, the people are finding new ways that if they for some reason don't use too much cooked food, or they eat raw, or various other reasons, or they cook in some other oils, they can certainly use ghee as a supplement.
You also mentioned that ghee is used as a base for some medicines in India. Is that also includes homeopathic medicines?
Not really, because homeopathic medicines is, as you know, that it was not founded in India.
Mm-hmm.
It has its base in Germany, I believe. But I'm talking about the Ayurveda, which is the India's own holistic health system, which dates at least 3,000 to 5,000 years. So that's where ghee is used in many, many different preparations. So it's the Ayurveda, but not at all in homeopathy.
And what about the idea, can the ghee be used on the skin? Can it be used as a skin moisturizer, or is that not being used?
It's funny that you asked. I'll actually tell you a little story. So my grandfather, whose picture actually we have on our website, if you click on the About button, so he was generally very healthy throughout his life, and towards the end of his life, he was hospitalized. And the nurse comes and says, I need to give you a shot on your arm, so can you roll up your sleeves? So he did. So after giving the shot, she says, how come your skin is so soft? And he says, throughout my life, this is what I've done. People will bring their own container. I will measure ghee and pour into their container. And, then there is few drops dripping on either their container or our container. I'll just take that and rub it on my arms and on my skin.
Ah.
And as a result, he had a skin like baby at the age of 85 years. So yes, ghee can be used on skin. And there are, again, preparations used with ghee and different things. For example, say rose water or some other essential oils that can be mixed in to make a wonderful moisturizer for skin.
Well, Sandeep, thank you. That was very kind of you to share that story of your grandfather. Once again, where can we contact you to buy your ghee?
So that would be our website, pureindianfoods.com, or by calling us at 877-588-5688. 4433.
Well, Sandeep Agarwal of Pure Indian Foods, I would like to thank you for calling in from your headquarters in New Jersey. And you've been listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live radio network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
You suffer from degenerative diseases such as high blood pressure, diabetes, fibroid tumors, high cholesterol, genital herpes, or a plethora of other diseases that rob you of a quality life. If so, then visit the website of herbalist Tahuti Ma'atra at DHealthStore.com and open the door to natural healing at an affordable price. DHealthStore.com has over 1,800 products created by herbalist Tahuti Ma'atra, specifically designed to help you heal the natural and safe way. At DHealthStore.com, you'll find everything from herbal formulas and cleanses, such as Tahuti's famous Full Body Detox, as well as herbal teas, extracts, natural body butters, lotions, creams, children's products, hair care products, and of course, sexual enhancement products for both men and women. So visit the website of Tahuti Ma'atra, DHealthStore.com, or call toll free at 1-888-823-9416, DHealthStore.com.
Are you ready to enjoy the Maui lifestyle? You can have it all by owning real estate on the Paradise Island of Maui. Dennis Rush, a 22-year Maui resident and real estate broker, brings his wealth of experience and market knowledge to add value to your Maui real estate understanding, providing a level of service as unique and exceptional as the island of Maui itself. The magical island of Maui was voted the most exclusive resort island in the world by Condé Nast Traveler, and keep in mind, Maui is only a simple, non-stop flight away. Hawaii Business Magazine Top 100 Realtors awarded Dennis Rush the 2011 fourth top realtor on the island of Maui. Go to www.dennisrush.com to view all of the amazing properties currently available in the Maui MLS system. Whatever your needs or desires, Dennis Rush will provide a private consultation for any Maui properties your heart desires. You will be in good hands. Once again, go to www.dennisrush.com. That's www.dennisrush.com. Contact Dennis today to start your Maui lifestyle now. Dennis Rush, proud sponsors of The Dawn Christie Show and LA Talk Live.
Oh, your skin looks great.
Thank you.
What's your secret?
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence.
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence?
Yes, it's a beauty secret used since the time of the Greeks and Romans. The spa in Malibu told me about frankincense and myrrh by Ancient Essence, and now my skin is lovely.
Well, your skin looks great.
Call Ancient Essence at 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Call 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret. Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Available at fine spas and beauty centers.
Hi, this is Dawn Christie inviting you to join me every Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific, for my all-new show, The Dawn Christie Show. Join me as I discuss love, spiritual readings, your purpose, why am I born, what am I here to do. So don't forget to tune in The Dawn Christie Show at 1 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV, Reality Radio. handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, I'm Ro Williams, and I would like to invite you to join GospelRhythms.com every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our show, GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio. Join us as we celebrate Christians around the world in all genres of entertainment, as well as highlight interest stories on men and women who are making a difference and impacting their community. So don't forget to tune in to GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes under R&B or watch us live on Ustream TV. We are reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio on LATalkLive.com. We're more than just talk. We're heaven's party here on earth.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. Our next guest is a well-known fashion model, Sarah DeAnna, who has written a new book published weeks ago by Hay House Publishers, an important publisher of progressive and spiritual books. Sarah DeAnna, you've seen her on runways, on magazine covers. Sarah DeAnna, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thank you so much. Do I need to be close to this?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
And now many fashion models from my generation maintain their slim weight by not being very good with themselves, by doing coke, by smoking cigarettes, by flipping their food, not to be too graphic. And you, a different generation of supermodels, has decided that that is old-fashioned and foolish. And you maintain your health and beauty running together. And you wrote about it in your new book.
Yes. Exactly.
And if I can ask you, for the guests, if you could mention to the men and women listening to you today, what's the most important thing in your opinion for health and vitality?
Definitely balance and your mental state, I would say. Your emotional state.
Emotional state, very, very powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
And in our industry, it's probably the hardest thing to do is to keep a good emotional state. And so it's something that you work even harder to do. I guess I'm not close enough to the mic.
Yeah. Okay, no, you're good now.
Okay. Yeah, so you really, it's a big, big challenge, but that's what's so beautiful about it is that you have to work so hard that you're able to really, truly master it. Because you're constantly scrutinized, constantly picked apart every day on your job. And so you either sink or swim, it's like you have no choice. And today, the girls are choosing, even though there's still that negative side, it's still out there, but there's so much more good in the industry, and people don't believe it. And I'm so sad because there's a book out right now that just came out that's getting so much press that's so negative side of the industry, where, I come out with this book that really tells you what most of the girls are doing. It's proof. I mean, there's so many interviews of models in there, and you'll see, like, any model that has longevity, Cindy Crawford, any of the major real supermodels, they're healthy. They're beautiful, healthy women, and they still are beautiful and healthy.
And did you always have this sense, even before you became a model, of the whole wellness thing, or was it something you learned? You read a book, you went to a lecture. What was it with you?
I have always been passionate about health and fitness since I was a little child. My mom loved working out, and we had a huge garden, and she did, Richard Simmons Sweat into the Oldies, and I would be behind her, and I just met him. It was amazing. He's awesome. But then things kind of turned in my childhood, and I ended up basically raising myself and eating terrible and not making the best food choices or, even exercise choices because I didn't know, but I was always very passionate about it. It was always something that I knew was important to me. So I always worked out and I always intended to eat well. But then you read, what's good and what's not, and it's so convoluted and you never know. And so that was always a struggle. So no, I wasn't always, super skinny like people think, and this isn't my genetics per se. I used to weigh 20 pounds more than I do now, and not doing the right things. And then I became a model, and I still wasn't super thin when I signed my first contract. And they didn't tell me, oh, you need to lose weight. It was more like, you're beautiful and you have potential, so maybe you're working out too hard, because they knew I was working out. And so I really started thinking about this, maybe I am doing something wrong, because I was at the gym every day for like 3 hours, and I was barely eating anything, thinking that was healthy, living off of spinach, and I realized that I was totally wrong. I realized I was working out way too much. I wasn't eating enough. And the second I changed that, literally, like, I dropped weight like nothing, and then it just became such a passion of mine. So then I started really devouring everything. And then when I started traveling and living and working in model apartments all over the world, that's when I started helping other girls.
And whose dresses and garments have you worn?
I've worked probably for every major designer out there: Oscar de la Renta, Versace, Armani, Dolce & Gabbana, Carolina Herrera.
And have you've
Karen.
been a print model for them, or a runway model, or both?
I've done everything. So print, runway, events with them, traveled with them.
And when you travel in those events, so how do they pick you? Your agent sends you to those events, is that it?
There's a casting a lot of times, so you have to go with a bunch of other girls, which is what I'm talking about, the emotional. You really have to have good emotional health, because you're there competing with all of these other beautiful girls, and it can either be so destructive or something very positive. So you can either appreciate that this girl is gorgeous and she has a great body, and I hope she gets the job, or I hope we both get the job, and as opposed to, oh my God, I'm so ugly, I'm so fat, she's so beautiful, I'm never going to get this job. So you really have to change the way that you look at things.
And when you go to a call, how many other girls that look like you are in the room?
A lot.
No, seriously.
Sometimes it's really funny. Sometimes, and I have pictures of this. I want to post these someday, but there sometimes is like a line either around the block, especially if you're doing Fashion Week, like in New York, Milan, or Paris. It's hundreds of beautiful, ridiculously gorgeous, beautiful girls. Right. So you'll see like around the block people lined up, or stair walls where it just goes around, and you'll be at the top and you can look down and you just see like around and around, and girls are sitting there, because a lot of times you have to wait, and the designers will take like lunch break and just like leave you there waiting, and it's not glamorous.
But it is kind of amusing. I mean, your perspective is like, oh my God, look at those other girls that look just like me. In a good way. In other words, you think, oh my God, look at these other girls. So do you make jokes? What do you do? Just keep it to yourself? What do you do there?
I mean, I don't think anyone looks exactly like, any other person. So I think more than anything, you kind of, they're beautiful, but I also have this that's special about me. The girls that I do look a lot alike, I think we pull together, actually, which is really awesome. And we're like, oh yeah, we're twins or whatever. And I think it helps both of us, like in the long run. We're not competitive about it. Like, oh, she looks like me, I don't want to talk to her. So we congregate, actually. And then it's awesome, because then, then the designer maybe will see you two together at the same time, and then they point out your differences and your similarities, which is also really special.
And can I ask a couple of personal questions?
Yes.
How tall are you?
5'11".
And what do you weigh?
I weigh about 117.
5'11", 117. So you're on the very slim side.
Yes.
And you are slim. Can you tell the audience, what do you eat?
I don't think that you should ever follow anybody else's diet. Okay, so fair. I don't, even in my book, I don't say, hey, this is what I do, this is what you have to do. I give tons of examples of what other models do and what other people do, and I think that that's what you should do, what feels best for you. I grew up eating meat and eating cheese and milk and everything normal, and I felt terrible every day. And probably when I was about 12 or 13 years old, I stopped eating meat out of nowhere. Never heard of a vegetarian, had no idea what that was. And then I progressively became more and more health conscious, and I became a vegan. And so now I'm a vegan.
And tell the audience, what's a vegan?
It means I don't eat any meat, any cheese, any dairy, but I eat a ton. Because you have to, you're always hungry. I feel like you're more hungry because you're not having that, meats take a long time to digest. So you're eating fruits and vegetables, which process really quickly. So you're constantly, I feel like I'm always eating.
And can I ask, what did you have for breakfast today?
Today I had, oh my gosh, I feel bad about this. I'm addicted to these protein bars right now, and I ate like 3 of them already. And then I had some lunch of carrots and this raw hummus thing, and it's delicious. I don't know, I ate quite a lot today. And I always have a raw protein smoothie.
Do you ever work with any kind of blood sugar issues? Are you cognizant of that? I mean, is it an issue for you?
Oh, why do you ask? I'm curious.
Well, blood sugar is a very important topic. And when people kind of understand blood sugar, a lot of things fall into place.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just don't get it.
Yeah.
So I was wondering how you work with it.
No, I recently did get it really in a big way and realized that I was hypoglycemic. And so it's very important to me. It's something that I really, pay attention to and take care of. And that I think I don't know that I entirely understand it, but I do know that I'm conscious of when my blood sugar has dropped. And I know what I need to do to take care of that. So that's awesome.
It's an unpleasant feeling when you get a little woozy. You think, oh my God, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, and I thought that was normal too. Like I just thought, even like when I was growing up, I thought feeling terrible was a normal thing. Like because I felt so awful all the time in my stomach, like everything I was eating. And then with the blood sugar thing, like I thought, oh, this is just normal that I get this way. And now I realize, oh my God, that's not normal at all. So food affects you in so many ways that you don't realize, and it's so important to pay attention to that. People don't realize how much what you eat affects you.
And what about your position on the use of processed sugar?
Processed sugar meaning?
What the ancient term soda pop or that kind of stuff. What's your thinking about that health-wise?
Well, I don't think it's natural. I mean, it's not, they say, I think it's really funny. I don't know where I read this or saw this, but they said that sugar comes in a stick, a hard stick. And if you were meant to, where you can't really eat that much sugar.
You mean sugar cane?
Yeah, sugar.
Right.
But even processed sugars, like, you're not supposed to have that much sugar in general. Even fruit sugar, even if you were juicing a fruit juice,
right.
Which is considered healthy, but that much sugar at one time, even carrot juice or whatever, it's too much sugar at one time. So
I agree with you, yes. Right.
So I feel like that even with processed sugar, I feel like it's the same thing. I mean, it's not what we were intended to eat.
Right.
At all. And I think that's also really important is to think about what feels best for you, but also what's natural for you to eat.
Mm-hmm.
What would you have eaten in the natural world?
So your mom had an interest in wellness, so you had that great solid foundation, and then you wandered in the wilderness for a while, and then you came back to nutrition. So is not eating sugar one of the prime things you might tell an aspiring model or one of your friends that you have found to be important, not eating sugar?
Processed sugar, definitely. Sugar, I think a lot of models do eat sugar still, and I wouldn't say it's bad per se. I mean, we need sugar. It's, breast milk is actually mostly sugar.
Different kind of sugar.
Yeah. But so processed sugar, I would definitely say yes. Sodas and all that stuff. It's not a good thing, but I think all things in moderation, you're going to be okay.
Okay, well, that's very fair.
Yeah, I just think that you can't say you can't have something like completely just it's not allowed at all. I just think you just need to have balance and listen to your body because your body's going to tell you.
Right. When you're eating protein for the day, and having worked with various coaches, no doubt, and read various authors, is there an amount of protein that you feel is appropriate for you? Do you try to get 60 to 75 grams? Some people feel 150 grams. Some of the vegans feel we need 40 grams of protein. Do you have a position on that?
I watch everything because I think, like you asked me about the blood sugar and everything, it's just really important for me, especially being a vegan and eating the way that I do. It's just important for me to be aware, which is one of the keys in the book, to be aware of what I'm eating. So I monitor everything, calories, fat, I want to make sure I'm getting enough of everything that I need. So I do pay attention to my protein intake, but I also just listen to myself. So some days I'll eat a ton of protein. Sometimes I have 80, 90 grams of protein, and some days I'll only have 20.
And in 80, 90 grams, what form of protein are you eating?
Usually I just have, I'm obsessed with smoothies, so I'll have this raw protein smoothie that I have a lot of, and then I eat a lot of seed and nut butters, which have a lot of protein in them.
So raw protein smoothies are like hemp brown rice protein, bourgeois, what are they?
Yeah, it's got sprouted grains and sprouted, those kind of things in it.
Okay, so hemp protein you do use, brown rice protein you do use.
Yeah,
is that what you favor? You can mention a brand name, or you don't have to, but do you find those you do good on those?
Yeah, any of the raw proteins really that I get at any of the Whole Foods or those places, they're all, and the hemps and everything, they're all good.
And do you try to do it every 3.5 hours? Do you have a real blood sugar regimen that you follow? Like eat every 3.5 hours? You just eat from protein?
No, I eat. I listen to myself. To be honest, I really do. I eat a lot in the morning. I don't know why. I think I'm just more hungry in the morning than I am in the evenings and in the afternoons. I think too because I work a lot in the morning, so I think when your mind is going, you need more stamina and energy. And if you're working like on a photo shoot or whatever, you need more fuel. But if in the evenings you're usually more relaxed and not doing so much, so you don't need food, which is energy. You don't necessarily need that energy anymore. You should be winding down and getting ready for your beauty sleep, which is also a key.
I got no sleep for sure. And when you're on a shoot, what do they last 3-4 hours?
Oh my God, no! They can be like an average shoot is about 8 hours, a regular 8-hour day, but they can go. I mean, I have shot sometimes in Paris till like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And
do they feed you?
They do feed you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
do you eat any of the food they give you, or you bring your own food?
I hear these stories about not getting fed, but I'm telling you, I have never witnessed this. A lot of times they ask me. I've been taken really good care of. I mean, I hear this terrible stuff about my industry, and like I told you, this new book, and it's just,
what book was that, by the way?
It's called The Vogue Factor.
Oh, I see.
And this lady got fired apparently from Vogue Australia, and spilled the negative something, I don't know, but it's just all negative, like saying negative things, which I feel like whatever you focus on is what you're going to see, and she probably only focused on that.
Was that a much older woman than you?
She wasn't a model, so I have no idea. I mean, I imagine.
Because sometimes, you can write about your experiences as a model in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and that was a different consciousness. So maybe most of the young models, as far as doing drugs and stuff, they laugh, they think, what year is this? Go away, Yeah. So maybe the consciousness has just changed within the industry as far as the models themselves and the photographers and the press people. So that could just be different generation, different way of doing stuff.
Absolutely. I talk about that in the book because it's really funny, the whole sex, drugs, rock and roll, that's how people associate models.
Right. They do actually, yes. I would say largely that's the public perception based on what you read in the press, I guess.
Yeah. And it's so funny because so many models, we start so young and we've never even kissed a boy, and it's just hilarious.
Are you chaperoned?
Some of the girls are, but a lot of times, when you do travel abroad, you're not. You are, a lot of times the girls are alone and they are young. But
they're 16, 17, is that it?
Yeah, but
chaperones are not a bad idea then, isn't it? It's not a bad idea. I don't want to sound overly conservative there.
No, they should have them, but it's expensive and nobody wants to foot that bill.
Mm-hmm.
The parents don't usually have it, and the agencies and the clients aren't going to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, a lot of times the girls are sent even younger. I would say even younger. I've lived in model apartments with girls who are like 14.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're there without
their parents. With a
14-year-old,
I mean, like, my God, got to keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
14-year-olds.
Ironically, they're quite mature, and
really?
they do pretty well. I mean, they don't always know. Like I said, they didn't always know. Like that's where I kind of helped in a lot with the what to eat and what they should be doing in terms of exercise and things, because they didn't know. And especially if the agency was saying, "Oh, you need to lose weight" or whatever, which I hate when agencies tell girls that, but don't tell them what to do or don't tell them a healthy approach to it, because all the girl thinks is, "Oh my God, I gotta stop eating."
So really, do you still get a lot of that? They tell these girls, okay, listen, no, you got to be X amount of weight lighter. Do they really kind of go after them?
Yeah, they do. But what I've seen is that a lot of times when that does happen, which I've been so grateful for, they have referred these girls to me, and that makes me really happy, because then I can help these girls in a healthy way and not, because if that's all is like, I feel like the media and everything just tells you to lose weight or to be, skinny like a model. This is the only way. Don't eat whatever.
Right.
And that isn't the only way. And you can be ridiculously healthy. And if you see like these girls, like especially the ones that are successful, they're really healthy, they're working out, they're eating right. They don't have issues with, fertility or whatever. They're having babies, like the Victoria's Secret girls who are very thin and very beautiful and in great shape and work out and take care of their bodies. I think they're having kids like every year, and then walking the runway.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. The last show, who was it that just had a baby? I can't remember her name right now, but one of the angels, she had just had a child and then walked the runway. Adriana Lima.
I see.
Like a couple months right before, yeah. So
I'll actually go back to the Chrissy Shrimpton era. I think that was 1965. I used to think that Chrissy Shrimpton was just fantastic. I mean, a lot of models, but I guess when you're a 13 or 14-year-old boy, look at these models and you think, these women are just fantastic, you know. You don't even think of them as women. They're just like kind of like little gods walking around. You see that picture. And that is the power actually of models, isn't it? I mean, really, models have a lot of power. I mean, people think, my God, models. And I guess that's a good thing, or it could be a bad thing. But I guess that the industry uses it because they recognize most of us feel that way.
Yeah. It's a false power because on the outside people think that, but in the industry we're actually not treated as well as people think. Not always. Usually not always. So we're like the ones at the bottom of the totem pole, actually, that have the last say in things and, you know, are the last ones booked on a job, so we have to jump through hoops and...
You mean younger models?
All models.
All models.
Pretty much, yeah. So, yeah, like we can't... It's really hard to have, like, you know, that's why I live by these keys in the book so much, because I really need that balance, because my job is so unstable and I never know when I'm going to have to get on a flight somewhere or when I'm going to have to be, you know, photo shoot ready or whatever it is. And that's why you just always have to be ready and you always have to be balanced and you always have to be centered. Otherwise, you're going to go crazy.
Right. And what magazines have you been on? What covers?
Oh God, I've been on like probably 20 or more magazine covers.
Tell my listeners.
A lot of high fashion magazines, which are like Abroad, so L'Officiel and La Mica, and then locally I've been on Riviera magazine, Malibu magazine, so many, Picture magazine, a lot of them. My very first photo shoot ever, actually. My agency did a photo shoot just for the models in the agency. It was like a promo for the agency. And the photographer ended up using the picture and selling it, and it became a magazine cover. So that's kind of how I got started. And I feel really blessed for that. But it was a beautiful cover, and it was kind of awesome just to be like, oh my God, this is like my first photo shoot, and it was a magazine cover.
Do you want to mention your agency or no?
I have two here in LA. So I'm with Photogenics for print. And then and they found me, actually. They discovered me and sent me to New York, Milan, Paris. And then my agency for runway and for events is LA Models.
I see.
Yeah. And they work really well together. So it's awesome.
And your new book, Supermodel You,
yes,
that came out, what, end of February?
A week ago.
Oh, a week ago. Okay, a week ago.
Yeah.
And how's the reception been?
It was amazing. So the second day it was on the Amazon bestseller list. I was very happy about that.
I had no idea. Oh my goodness.
I didn't know what it meant. I'm like, okay, that's awesome. What does that mean?
That means you're selling a ton of books.
I hope so. I really want to keep selling more, and I just want to put out that positive message. Like that's all that matters to me, really. You know, I want to just give the books away. I know that's not what my publisher wants, but
no, gotta sell a few books, really.
I would love to give a book away to readers, to anyone. I mean, to listeners, to anyone who wants. I don't know how that would work.
Well, I'll tell you, they could call in. They can call us today at Here's to Your Health here at LA Talk Live, and I'll just give you a phone number: 818-707-0005. Call us at 818-707-0005, and we'll give away some copies of the new Sarah DeAnna Supermodel You, which was published last week. I thought it was published a couple of weeks ago, but last week, so you're...
No, Monday. Last week,
Oh,
Monday.
that's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What about exercise? What do you do what do you recommend?
Oh my God, movement, any movement. We call it modernize, so that can be... I say that because a lot of models don't exercise, but they were getting plenty of movement, you know, like in their everyday life. And so we call it modernize, model exercise, or even modern exercise. So it's really any time that you're moving your body, because anytime you move, it counts as exercise. But people don't make that mind-body connection and don't think they're getting enough exercise, when truly a lot of people really are. You just need to really make that connection. So not everyone has time to go to the gym anymore.
Right.
People are so busy today. I love the gym. I kind of need the gym for my sanity. It's, you know, yoga and meditation I love so much.
By the way, you enjoy yoga?
I do. I love it.
Any form that you like best?
I love all forms of yoga. I really love Kundalini yoga.
Oh really? Really?
Yeah, I love flow. I love flow yoga. I love anything, really. Anytime I can move my body and just kind of be in that space, I really love it.
Do you do Kundalini here in LA?
Yeah.
Or you like them?
Yeah.
Swami, who was this? Yogi Bhajan's people, right?
Yeah.
That's with the big white turbans and the big beards.
Some of them, yes.
And that's the women. Bada bing.
my the ones I practice with are pretty normal though. They don't wear the turban, and they're not
really?
all. Yeah, I feel like I appreciate all of that, but it doesn't have to be so esoteric and weird and like, it can just be fun and cool and lighthearted. And I have one yoga instructor who, instead of like saying downward dog, he'll be like downward Saint Bernard, and
That's cute.
yeah, and just not so serious, just because people take it so seriously, and a lot of people will like be turned off by that.
Some are, yeah.
Yeah.
So you do Iyengar yoga too?
I have done Iyengar. I've done it all. I love it. I love it all. I really do. And then I really love spin as well. So I have an amazing spin instructor, and I have 2 gym memberships. I'm crazy. Mostly because of my spin instructor. And it's just fun. It's like going to a club. He plays amazing music. We have black lights and disco balls, and it's just fun. It's really like, I enjoy it. It's not like a chore for me. It's not like, oh my God, I have to go to the gym. I have to work out.
It's fun. Yeah,
I'm going to get fat if I don't go. I never think that way.
It's just fun, right? It's just fun.
Yeah.
Right, gotcha. Yeah, gotcha. It's fun. It has to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else besides yoga? Do you have a dance background?
I don't, but I love to dance, and models love to dance, and that's one of the things we talk about too in the book. Is as a model size, is just we love dancing, and anytime that your body calls you to dance or to move, you should. You can't. It's really sad, people that'll be somewhere at a dance or at a club, and they just are standing on the side, and they feel the music, but they don't want to dance because they're embarrassed or whatever. Just dance.
I do have a question about when I see the Victoria's Secret models or any of the female models, not much the male models, but the female models, and they're walking down the runway. It's the one leg in front of the other thing, which of course is obviously stylized. It's a very stylized way of walking. Do they teach you that? I mean, does the background you have in yoga help you do that better or more gracefully or differently than the other models? I mean, do you bring that physical education awareness when you move down the runway that way?
I love that you said awareness. I think a lot of girls, yes, I believe that they have taken lessons, and I believe that they do have the background in dance and yoga and things like that help them, because that helps you with posture and everything else.
Right.
And
but you have to look like a young god walking down the runway, so you can't be slouching down the runway. Then if people think, we don't need this.
Yeah. But I would say in general, just being a model, the job, you become very self-aware, which is also one of the keys. That's the first key and the most important key in the book. And you have to be. So you're consciously aware of your posture, of what your body language is saying. And backstage, they actually will tell you, walk a certain way. So a lot of times they will say, walk, sexy, cross your legs, whatever. Or they'll say...
No, that's the form, right? That they say, no, this is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes there's a sign, like right there, that'll say, like, it's so cute. I've taken some of the pictures, because some of them will say, like, don't do that. No sexy, sassy, we don't want that.
Oh.
Or they'll want you, like, straight walking like a boy, or, like, no expression, or be happy. Or so there, a lot of times, right before you walk out, there's a sign there that tells you, and before the designer will tell you, this is what we want. This is like, and you have a little rehearsal before, which people don't know about. So we rehearse like an hour before the show.
Oh, I assumed you'd have to. Sure.
Yeah, we just walk through really fast, and they make sure the pacing is right, and one person's not walking super fast or totally sassy and sexy, and then the other person's like straight and normal. So there's always something that they want, and they tell you that.
And here's a question for all the men in the audience. What is the tallest heels they've ever made you walk in that you've walked in without falling down?
I think like almost a foot. I'm not kidding you.
Really?
I was in Germany for Fashion Week in Germany, in Berlin, and there was a casting, and I just sat there and watched girl after girl after girl fall in these shoes. And the whole thing was basically, if you can walk in these shoes, you can walk in our show.
Did you get it?
Yes. And I was terrified, because you're watching all these girls just fall, and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to fall. But I don't know what it is about me, but I can walk in anything. I don't know why, but I think I just pray to the gods and then go for it.
Because I, like everyone else, watch all these things on a computer, and you see these videos of people falling in general. For some reason, other people find that hilarious, but they show you these videos of these beautiful young girls in shows just going right down. And for some reason, it always does seem hilarious, because as long as it's not you, it seems pretty funny.
Yeah, I had actually never fallen before, and I was very proud of that. And then the one time that I did fall was for a Chanel show, and I was not wearing heels.
Did you just what? You lost focus for a moment?
I don't know what happened. It was so funny. I opened the show.
Where was that, in Paris?
No, actually, we recreated the show in Arizona and we had, it's like the iceberg show or whatever, and I came out around the corner, and I don't know what happened, but I instantly like hit the floor, and it was like the loudest bang everywhere, and everyone in the audience was like, and I'm like, oh my God, I ripped the dress. So I tried to turn around and go back, but then I turned around and went back, and I'm like, oh my God, I think I ripped the dress. She's like, no, you're fine, you're fine. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go. So I got my composure back, because I was opening the show.
Oh, I see.
So I go back out again, same place, same thing. I thought I was gonna die.
Did people laugh?
No, they were terrified for me.
Oh, I see.
And so then I stood up, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm shaking so bad. And I'm like, I'm not going back, because there's something in this spot right here that was like making me fall. And then
I'm going to drop water there.
Yeah, something. I don't know. It was crazy. But
well, how'd that show end?
It ended up ending fine.
You worked it?
Yeah, I finished. I had another look, but I was still shaking the whole time.
So what do they say to you when you come back in after falling twice? Does the director say something to you, or everyone kind of does nothing? What happens?
People are really concerned. I think they're really sweet, and they want to make sure you're okay. The show had to go on, so we had to kind of wait for that till the end.
They send a guy out to sweep that spot or something? I mean,
No. The show just goes. I mean, it just has to go on. And then after the show, like everyone came up to me and all the Chanel people and everything, but I heard that they were not very happy about that.
Well, no, I guess they want it the way they want it, and they don't want you ad-libbing, so to speak, really, by falling and right.
Yeah, but they sold a ton of clothes, and that was their objective, so they should be happy.
Right, that's the objective. They want to sell these beautiful clothes.
Maybe people felt bad, like poor model fell. Let's buy everything.
Do you get to keep anything?
Sometimes, yeah. Not always, but sometimes. You know, I know there's a lot of controversy about that too, where sometimes designers won't pay you. They'll just give you trade, which is clothing or something like that, which is not fun because that doesn't pay your bills.
It does not. It gives you great outfits.
Yes.
But it does not pay the bills. Oh, can they get away with that?
Apparently, because there's no union. The models aren't exactly protected, but they have started something now. There's something called the Model Alliance by one of the girls that I've worked with a lot before, like abroad, and she started it, and it's picking up a lot of speed and it's getting a lot of recognition. So models are getting a lot more, honored, I guess.
Well, as far as working for beautiful clothes, you might not mind doing that if you knew that in advance. But if they promise you, a couple thousand, whatever they promise you, I don't really know. But if they don't deliver that, then oh my God, they broke the contract.
Yeah, they usually will let you know beforehand, so it's kind of like your choice. But who's gonna say no to like the major top designer? It's like it's press for you, and it's good to work with this designer, so you get sucked into it.
No, I could see that for sure. It is good press. Does that happen once? What? 1 out of 10 or something, or just?
It used to happen a lot more. I think it's changed a lot, but I do believe that some designers still do it
because they feel they can just throw their weight around.
Yeah, but I think it's gotten a lot better in general, and everyone is kind of being a lot more fair with everyone today. So, and that's good. I love that. And like I said, it really is going in a positive direction. It's just we need more focus on the positive and less focus on the negative. And that's why that book that just came out, I was so just like, oh, why does this have to come out again? Like, there's so many good things happening. And like for the Fashion Week in New York, the last one with the CFDA, which is the Council of Fashion Design America, they partnered with Organic Avenue, which is a juice spot in New York City. And they also have a lot of raw food, a lot of really healthy food. And, models got, I think it was like 70% off of juices and foods and everything that they carried, and free education because they're really smart with like health and whatever, just like doing something. Yeah, and of course models love it because we love that kind of stuff, and I wish that there was more of that positive exposure out there.
I may have to just create it. For those of you just tuning in to Here's to Your Health, we're speaking with Sarah DeAnna, a top fashion model. A brand new book been out 1 week, Supermodel You, and it's at the top of the Amazon list, you said?
It was a bestseller on the day after. I don't understand the rankings or whatever, how that works, so someone has to look it up for me and tell me. But one of the other authors at our publishing house is the one that actually made it known to me.
That's right, and you're published by Hay House,
Hay House,
which is
amazing.
An important publishing house, very well known, an important house doing progressive stuff. And since they were it must be 100,000 books on Amazon. If you're one of the top books, that's really quite an accomplishment. It's hard to sell books.
They are amazing, and actually, so there was 3 of us that were published recently because they do publishing runs. So 3 of us were all published together, and we were all in the top. And I believe the other 2 are still at the top.
You mean 2 other Hay House authors?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Which makes me very happy because Hay House is like a family, and we love our fellow authors, Nick Ortner and Megan Watterson. Those are the two other authors that got published at the same time as me. We all got published the same week, and their books are doing phenomenal.
Wow, that's impressive. That's impressive. So, DeAnna, how can casting agents get in contact with you? How can the public get in contact with you? Have any contact info for us?
Yes, everything is at sarahdeanna.com. I'm on all the social media at SupermodelU, and then my agencies, like we said earlier, LA Models and Photogenics here in LA.
Sarah DeAnna, thank you very much for being a guest on Here's to Your Health. It's been great. It's been great.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live Radio Network. We're going to take a very short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Oh, your skin looks great.
Thank you.
What's your secret?
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence.
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence?
Yes, it's a beauty secret used since the time of the Greeks and Romans. The spa in Malibu told me about frankincense and myrrh by Ancient Essence, and now my skin is lovely.
Well, your skin looks great.
Call Ancient Essence at 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Call 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret. Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Available at fine spas and beauty centers.
Hey everybody, it's Miss R&B, and I'm inviting you to come and hang with me every Thursday night at 9 p.m. PST for Perspectives Corner with Rona Rowe Bennett on America Talk Live. Hear and see interviews and live performances from some of our favorite celebrities and personalities in entertainment, sports, business, and the wellness industries. We're getting lifted and we're going deep, talking about life and empowering the champion in us all. See you there.
Hi, this is Starlet Quarles, and I'm inviting you to join us every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for a new show right here on LA Talk Live, The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People. Join us as we discuss the topics that are relevant to today's generational leaders. So don't forget to tune in to The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People, every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, I'm Tosh Walker, and I want you to join me every Saturday evening from 5 to 8 p.m. for Cocktails with Tosh Walker, where each week is going to be a big party. Why? Come celebrate with me for the very first lifestyle entertainment sports show. And on my cocktail menu, I have special celebrity guests stopping through, and you never know who might come through, boo. It just might be one of your favorite sports celebrities. From Cocktails with Tosh Walker, the entertainment lifestyle sports show. Right here every Saturday night, where we're more than just talk. We're Cocktails with Tosh Walker on latalklive.com.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. You're listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live Radio Network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. And also my co-host, Sarah DeAnna, fashion model, is with us, which works out very well because our guest calling in is Stephanie Tourles, if I pronounce it correctly, Hands-On Healing Remedies. Stephanie has written a number of books on wellness as it relates to beauty and beauty products. Stephanie, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Good.
How are you?
Good, Steph. Thanks for calling in. And Sarah DeAnna, fashion model, is here with us as well. Now,
Great.
You have 3 or 4 books now that are all based on healthy suggestions for skin and hair and nails?
Yes, actually, I have written 10 books. Most of them are on how to formulate your own chemical-free skin and body care products, as well as I've written one book on raw foods.
I see. And for the listeners, why is it important to use beauty products that I could formulate myself? Why is that? Do I save money? Is that the point?
Well, you can save money, yes, depending on what ingredients you want to put in there and how many ingredients that you can actually grow yourself. Some people like to grow their own herbs, such as peppermint, lavender, and calendula and chamomile, and those can be dried or put into beauty products. But I think one of the most important reasons for either commercially buying natural chemical-free products or making your own is that your skin eats, and what I mean by that is that it absorbs up to 60% of what you put onto it. So I think it's of utmost importance to know what's going onto your body, because if it's going to be absorbed into your body to some degree or into your bloodstream, then it will affect you on a physical level and possibly get stored in the fatty tissue and could cause potential trouble down the road. So I think using as pure of personal care products as you can is very important.
Well, actually, Stephanie, I agree with you. You are a gardener in Maine. That's one of your passions, I've read. And so you like to use plants that you have grown. And I do think I've read that not recently, but say 100 or more years ago, some American beauty products actually had arsenic and lead in them, and that they can cause a variety of terrible health problems. Are the health products?
Yes, some of them did, especially, thousands of years ago, the Egyptians used to line their eyes with coal, and that contained mercury and arsenic and lead and all manner of deadly products. And even back in the colonial days, they used to whiten their skin with certain mineral powders, and those had deadly minerals in there too. So, but rest assured, today's products are not like that at all. And especially if you make them your own, make them yourself, or you become a label reader and investigate as to what's exactly in the product, then you will know what you are putting onto your person. So, rest in the fact that harsh chemicals should not and usually do not exist in natural cosmetic products these days.
So you're saying that in general, if I go to a grocery store or a pharmacy or a natural food store, are you saying the products are essentially the same, or what are you saying?
If you go to those places and purchase natural chemical-free beauty care products, say, I give you a couple of brand names, say something made by Dr. Hauschka or Weleda. Both of those are German companies. They use no chemicals whatsoever in their products and minimal, if any, preservatives, and they're very, very safe. The recipes that I have in my organic body care recipe book and in my newest book, Hands-On Healing Remedies, which is a topically applied herbal medicine book, all of those recipes will teach you how to make products that are extremely safe, and some of them are even edible.
Well, that sounds good. So what about, since I really don't know anything about cosmetics, why don't you give me a cosmetic that we can make from your book that you think this is a great one, people need to know this?
Okay, one of the simplest ones that you can make is actually one of the first products that I ever made. I think I was 15 years old. It is a facial scrub, and it is simply made by grinding. All of these are raw ingredients, okay? None of the nuts and seeds are toasted. These are all raw.
All right.
So you would grind up, say, a handful of oatmeal, old-fashioned oatmeal, or oats, I should say, a handful of almonds, raw almonds, and a handful of sunflower seeds. Grind those all up in your Cuisinart or your coffee maker until you have what looks like a Parmesan cheese textured grainy meal.
Mm-hmm.
And you can take about a tablespoon of that and mix it with another tablespoon of either plain yogurt or cream or raw milk or just water, and it becomes a nice slurry, like a paste, and you can use that to take off your makeup, to wash your face with, and after your face is clean, you can apply another batch of it and let it dry, and it will be a mask. You can also massage it into your face, and it will serve as a scrub. It's simple, it's clean, it's a multitasking product, very inexpensive. And it stores, you can make a big batch and store it in dry form, say in the refrigerator or freezer, and it'll last for months. Very easy to make, and it's excellent for sensitive skin because it does not contain any harsh nut shells or salts or anything like that that can be too abrasive for the skin.
Well, that does sound very simple and obviously clean as far as ingredients. What about, I have read that honey, raw honey, can be very healing and can be applied topically to the skin for wounds. Do you work with raw honey at all for skin issues?
Yes, I do, in two ways. One, because bacteria cannot live in raw honey due to the enzymes in it, I apply that to cuts and scrapes, fresh cuts and scrapes that have been cleaned, and it helps to heal the wound quite quickly, keeps the bacteria at bay. Honey acts like a humectant, which means that it pulls water or moisture from the air to the skin. So while it's helping your cut or scrape heal, it is also minimizing the potential for formation of scar tissue by keeping the wound moist. And that's one reason I also like to use honey in facial creams and lotions as well as in mask formulations, because it is so intensely, deeply moisturizing to facial tissue. Obviously, you're not going to apply it straight and leave it on as your everyday moisturizer because it's too sticky. But if it's incorporated into the recipe of a cream or a lotion, or just applied straight to a clean face as a mask and left on there for about 20 minutes and then rinsed off, it's wonderful to use, and your skin it'll be just glowing and soft and smooth and moist. It's wonderful. And say in the wintertime, especially where I live up here in northern Maine, indoor air, the heat gets so dehydrating to the skin, and lips become very chapped. And so if you just put a little dab of raw honey onto your chapped lips, it will help to soothe any dry skin and irritation on your lips. It's really nice stuff.
Yeah, honey on lips, that sounds like a great little remedy. So let's
tasty
talk.
Too.
Tasty. And what else do you like? I'll use the term lip gloss. It might be the wrong term. What else can we put on the lips to make the lips look healthy and moist?
Okay, well, all year round, I like, especially if you're a man and you don't want anything too tasty in a balm or too frou-frou or flowery or anything like that, and you want something simple, you can go and buy a little bottle of jojoba oil, which is extracted from jojoba seeds. And jojoba is chemically really a wax ester, so it's got a consistency that's very similar to our own sebum. It sinks right in, and you can dab a little bit of that onto your lips. It's not going to leave them super, super waxy or shiny, but it will just leave them very soft and protected. And jojoba oil has a natural SPF. It's a low SPF, say about 8 to 10, but at least that's nice to know. Another one I really like is coconut oil, and most people adore the fragrance of unrefined extra virgin coconut, and that is wonderful to slather all over your lips. And in fact, during the dead of winter up here when it's so dry, I use coconut oil as one of my primary moisturizers for my entire body. Smells great, even conditions the end of dry, unruly, or damaged color-treated hair. It's very multi-purpose. Been used for thousands of years in the tropics as a beauty ingredient, and I encourage everybody to buy a big container of that. It'll last you a long time. It's very inexpensive, and it's very lubricating to the skin.
Well, Stephanie, when we talk about coconut oil, what are we looking for in a coconut oil, and what are we not looking for in coconut oil?
Okay, like I just said, first off, you need to make sure that it says on the label that it is extra virgin, or at least the word virgin, unrefined. Sometimes it will say expeller pressed or cold pressed, or very low heat or no heat has been applied to the coconut while it's being pressed. And somewhere on the label it will probably say rich in coconut fragrance. So that way you're getting really, really intense coconut aroma and all of its nutrients still in it. And versus using coconut oil that is has been heated and refined, that has absolutely no fragrance at all. It's amazing. I mean, it's still white. It's still solid, below 76 degrees, like happens to all coconut oil. But all the goodness, as far as I'm concerned, has been heated right out of it. You know, a lot of the goodness is in, if something smells really good naturally, then it's essential oils that are so important to the skin and healing. They're still intact. But if something has no fragrance, you know, it's from Mother Nature, but it has no fragrance, usually it's been tampered with, and it's not nearly as effective for beautifying your body.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And Stephanie, as we get older and we have problems with collagen formation in the skin, are there any masks that we can use or even possibly ingest in a tea form that you have found that are successful for helping us maintain our collagen?
There's one, I'm not going to call, it's not a drink, but it is actually an oil, rosehip seed oil.
Rosehip seed oil.
That's been minimally processed. It comes from the bright red fruits that form after rose bushes have bloomed. Maybe you've seen them growing in the fall. They're quite tart. That's where they extract some vitamin C from. But when the fruit and the seeds are pressed, a beautiful orangey red oil is extracted, and this oil is extremely rejuvenative for aging skin, for skin that is starting to sag and losing its collagen development abilities, losing the snap or the flexibility of the skin. If you apply a little bit of this oil, and it needs to always be refrigerated because it is highly perishable, if you apply a little bit of this oil every night after you've cleansed your skin and your skin is still damp, after several months you should see that your skin is a bit tighter and firmer, and make sure you apply it to your neck and your chest as well. But rosehip seed oil is highly valued as a collagen regenerative or collagen booster in the natural cosmetic realm. It's wonderful stuff.
Do you grow that in Maine?
I do not. I'm not able to press the oil, but the roses that it is frequently pressed from are Rosa rugosas, R-O-S-A, and then R-U-G-O-S-A, and the Rosa musqueta, that's R-O-S-A-M-O-S-Q-U-E-T-A. Originally, this came from the Andes region, South America. Been used by Indians, South American Indians, for thousands of years for skincare. But it's wonderful stuff. I'm also a proponent of drinking 2-3 cups of organic green tea every day. It's so strong in antioxidants that it helps to keep free radicals and premature aging at bay. And if you've gotten too many sunburns in life, applying fresh, cold green tea to your face after you've gotten a sunburn will really help to heal that and help to regenerate the skin tissue.
Excuse me, Steph. In what form would I apply green tea to my skin? As a paste mixed with honey?
Oh,
or,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
As a tea, just as a tea, you can actually saturate cotton balls, cotton squares, a washcloth, and after you cleansed your skin, then you would apply that like a toner to the skin, and then apply your moisturizer on top of it. So that could be your sole toner that you use every day on your skin as a regenerative to the skin. It's slightly astringent, but all skin types can use it.
I see.
Very gentle.
Sitting in with us today, Sarah DeAnna, the supermodel, has a new book out, Supermodel and You. Sarah, are there any of these little secrets that you know that you use?
Yeah, I totally agree with her on the rose hips oil, and I use one by Dr. Alkaitis, which is a raw oil, which I love. And I love the honey. Everything she said. Everything she said, I'm like, yep.
That's good. So you're getting
So-
affirmation here from a top
Yes.
model, so that's very good.
That's
very
good to know.
And
very
and
good.
that's models swear by that stuff as well. The natural things, the coconut oil, the olive oil. I use olive oil to take off all my makeup.
Yeah,
And
olive oil's great.
Any oils to take off the makeup. It's the best makeup remover.
And Steph, I question, since you live in northern New England, are there any medicinal plants that grow in the New England area that you are particularly proud of using, that you have promoted, that really work well for our skin, hair, and nails?
Well, actually, let's see. I use the roses a lot. There is a comfrey, COMFREY, grows
comfrey.
very, very well in the New England states. You need to have it. Probably grows well in the northwestern states too. It needs moisture. But comfrey, the leaves and the root are quite demulcent, or I should say sticky gooey, and the sap, I can call it sap, the juice that comes from the root and the leaves contains an alkaloid called allantoin, which knits damaged tissue back together. It's also called knit bone because for hundreds of years it was applied as a poultice. The leaves and the root were mashed up and applied as a poultice on top of areas where someone had broken a bone. It encourages tissue to heal very, very fast, and it also moisturizes dry skin, and it's great for eczema, as a topical for eczema. I make salves out of it. And one of my other favorites that grows up here, also grows in the Northwest, is the fir tree. It's called the balsam fir here and the Douglas fir in the West.
Yes.
And it probably grows in Colorado and Utah as well. But in springtime, in May around here, when the new growth starts to appear on a lot of the trees, but the fir trees too, I go into the woods and it just smells so unbelievably resinous. And the fir tips say that the new growth of 3 to 5 inches on the ends of the limbs, it's pale green and sticky. Well, I'll harvest, a basket full of that, spread it out on newspaper or paper towels on my kitchen table, let it wilt for about 24 hours, and then I'll put it into a big canning jar, quart-sized canning jar, and pour jojoba oil all over it, and then screw the lid tight and set that jar in the sun for 30 days. What I'm making is an infused oil, an oil extracted. The properties of fir will become extracted into that jojoba oil. At the end of that time, I strain it out, remove the needles, and I have this pale greenish gold, Christmas-smelling jojoba oil that I rub all over my feet, all over my lower legs. It energizes something fierce. I actually call it my Amazon woman oil because it is so energizing to the system. And in the wintertime, you can put this oil on your chest if you have lung congestion, sinus congestion, lots of mucus and phlegm buildup. It's antiviral, a great respiratory opener, and it really, really helps you breathe. It's one of my favorite wild-growing trees, and I've got over 100 acres up here on a mountain. And come May, I am in the forest all the time. I mean, just walking in that fir forest is enough to invigorate you. Wonderful stuff.
These balsam trees, these fir trees, this is traditional. This is what the Native Americans used. Did they drink?
Yes.
Didn't they make a tea of that as well?
Yes, it's extremely high in vitamin C. Very, very high in vitamin C. It's got a bit of a astringent bite to it when you drink it. But there were explorers that, got lost and didn't have much food. But for some reason, they knew to make a tea or a fir tip tea, and that helped them to avoid scurvy out in the wilderness. And it's very soothing to the stomach, too. Nice stuff. Multi-purpose tree.
Also, I have a question that the frankincense and myrrh, which were very popular 2,000 years ago, seem to be popular again. And only within the past 5 or 6 years have I been aware of them as being widely used. Do you have any good experiences with frankincense and with myrrh?
Frankincense I actually use in a elixir. It's a facial elixir. It's a facial oil that I use as a moisturizer, actually for aging skin. Frankincense was used as an embalming. It comes from it's a resin, but it was used in embalming fluids by the Egyptians and other cultures. It helps preserve skin, so that's one reason that it's good for aging skin. It's deeply moisturizing, very healing. Smells absolutely fantastic. But I mix it with, say, some hazelnut oil, a few drops of you buy frankincense as an essential oil.
Yes.
It can be a bit pricey, but you can buy a really small bottle, and you only need a couple drops, so it'll last a long time. And your little bottle of essential oil can last for 10 years if you keep it stored in the dark in a cool place. But it's excellent for skin that's over 40, especially environmentally damaged skin that has seen a lot of sunshine and wind and tennis games outside. But frankincense is also very soothing to the senses. It's a wonderful herb. It's quite antiseptic too. So if you've got hangnails, infection on your nails or your toenails, you can apply, say, 12 drops of frankincense essential oil into 1 ounce, or that's 2 tablespoons of, say, olive oil, and stir that all up together. And you can apply that to your fingernails and your toenails, and that will help to heal all manner of conditions, from fungus as well as cuts and scrapes on your feet and nails. It's a very nice herb.
Well, that sounds great. Stephanie, I appreciate you commenting on the frankincense. And Stephanie, I pronounce your last name Tourles?
Tourles.
Tourles. I was not even close.
Tourles,
Stephanie
yep.
Tourles, Hands-on Healing Remedies, one of 10 of Stephanie's books. Stephanie, is this the new one?
Yes, Hands-on Healing Remedies is the most recent one. Yes, came out in December.
And how can we buy your book?
It's available online, of course, through Amazon, but it's usually in most of the larger bookstores around the country. And also, if they went to my website, you can click on the first page of my website, you'll see my picture and an announcement of that book. And my website is Stephanie, STEPHANIE, Tourles, TOURLES.com. And they can click right there, and they can buy it through there.
Stephanie
and
Tourles.
My website will also take everybody to my Facebook page, and you can find my monthly blog, which usually gives you tips on health and beauty. That's all chemical-free, and it's quite entertaining.
Stephanie, thank you for calling in. I very much appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live radio network. My co-host for this segment has been Sarah DeAnna, the fashion model. I'd like to thank you for tuning in.
For more information about the guests and sponsors of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, please call us at 818-707-0005.
Bottled at the source since 1871, Mountain Valley Water is the deepest operating spring in America. This naturally alkaline water, with a perfect blend of minerals, has a crisp, clean taste that's twice been named best tasting water in the world. Mountain Valley Water has been served in the White House for 13 presidents, but it's also served kings including Elvis Presley, whose only requirement on tour was 2 6-packs of Mountain Valley Water. Delivered to your home or office in glass bottles, Mountain Valley Water will give new customers in Southern California their first 2 5-gallon bottles free. For more information, call 1-800-499-9982. or visit us online at www.mountainvalleywaterla.com. Mountain Valley Water is the official sponsor of Here's to Your Health with Josh Lane on LA Talk Live.
Oh, your skin looks great.
Thank you.
What's your secret?
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence.
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence?
Yes, it's a beauty secret used since the time of the Greeks and Romans. The spa in Malibu told me about frankincense and myrrh by Ancient Essence, and now my skin is lovely.
Well, your skin looks great.
Call Ancient Essence at 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Call 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret. Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Available at fine spas and beauty centers.
Hey, shout us out. What's the count? I'm your host, Ferran Dozier. I'm inviting you to join me on WDC Radio every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time as we discuss community topics around health, sports, and entertainment. So don't forget to shout us out. What's the count? On WDC Radio, only on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. What's the count?
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at LATalkLive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.